Hello and welcome to another awful episode of Normie Impressions of, a podcast in which I get three of my feeble-minded friends who are normies to watch anime that is farther down the rabbit hole. Today I have with me Billy.
Hello.
Thanks for compensating on the fuck up earlier. Ryan.
Hi.
Okay, approved. And Shawn.
Hey, I'm still trying to figure out my intro, but I'm here too.
That works, I guess.
I'm trying to condense it a little bit more, but that's what I got. It's a working thing.
Well, you can condense it by shutting up.
You could just say hello.
No, I want people to know I'm trying, you know?
I fucking hate all three of you. So, First question is first. Have any of you kept up or continued watching Food Wars?
I have not.
No, but it's not because I thought it was bad. I discussed in the last episode that I thought it was good and I would watch it, but I just haven't. I don't really have an excuse. There's really nothing else to say about it. I just haven't watched it.
I've been rewatching Naruto episodes, you know, priorities.
God damn.
Gotta get through those
it's just that it's only...
games.
Are you seriously rewatching Naruto?
No.
No, I liked Food Wars,
Sorry.
and I liked it enough that if I sat down and it was in front of me, I would definitely watch more of it. But I think that just for me personally, to actually go on to Crunchyroll and select episode 2 and sit down and make the decision that that's what I'm doing now, I have to like it a little bit more. I think. I don't know. I'm pretty rough on shows sometimes. To in order for it to really grab my attention for an entire series, I have to really really like it.
For me, I still plan on going back and watching it. It's just it's only been 2 weeks. Attack on Titan came out. You know, I want to rewatch Game of Thrones before season 7 comes out. Kind of booked. That's all. But I still can confidently say that I fully plan on finishing up the Food Wars because I'm really interested in seeing how the whole school setting plays out, as I said in the last podcast.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to get back to it. Just this last week, I've been really into Horizon. I got into that late. So, I'm done with that. Food Wars could start it as early as this week, maybe next week.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I kind of figured it. We only give 2 weeks in between each episode here. Technically, well, yeah, about 2 weeks between recordings as well. And I will say, the third season was announced for this fall. So feel free to watch both seasons and then feel obligated, really, so that we can do an episode about the third season.
Alright, yeah, that sounds good. Because before you finished your whole statement there, I was already in the state of mind where I was just going to wait for the third season to be over then. But we could do another podcast on season 3.
More importantly, though, we have a new show to discuss, or rather, an old show that is new to all of us, because last week we decided to go with something that even I have not seen, because everything we've watched so far I'd seen prior to us recording this podcast. So this week, we decided to go with the polarizing School Days. School Days is a 2000 and summer. Ooh, that's good.
It's okay.
This is why when I say let's do the podcast at 8, we do the podcast at 8 because I'm already drinking at 7:30. So now we're an hour later and I've killed two golden monkeys.
Oh well, that's a big
When
difference.
you're drinking-
Golden Monkey isn't really it's not like you're drinking Coronas, man.
Precisely.
Two Golden Monkeys is you might as well have drank an entire 6-pack by now.
Precisely. So, trying this again. School Days is a 2007 summer anime, an adaptation of a visual novel. Hopefully you all know what a visual novel is, but if you don't,
It's like a pop-up book, obviously.
it's just
It's like a novel, but for your eyes.
Yeah, it's a video game. It's a genre
a
of
podcast before your eyes.
so things like Steins Gate. It was originally a visual novel, a very good one.
I don't know that.
How can a novel be real if our eyes aren't real?
What?
Shut up.
Jaden
Anyway, the visual novel was created by a company named Overflow, who just do a School Day spin-off now since School Days was popular for them. And then the anime was produced by TNK, who don't really do much of anything besides High School D, Cross D, and I don't care for it. So it should be telling of what I think of this show. So, getting into it. This is an entry into the harem genre. So I'm curious as to what your takes are here.
Well, what is the harem?
The harem genre?
Yes. So the harem genre it's an English word as well, just meaning there is usually in this instance there is one male character. Yeah, there's one male character here, and then there are multiple women in his periphery that are interested in him sexually or in a normal idea of a relationship, and it could be the opposite.
It's like a reverse rom-com.
It's like Two is His Company as well.
So much of American culture is always
Three's
just like a...
Yeah. See, anyway, well, it is. It's far. I prefer it.
A podcast of you watching regular American TV.
Again, this is why I say when we record at 8, we start recording at 8. But yes,
it's not our fault. You have
Miller watches Full House episode 1. What did you think, Miller?
You got it.
I thought that the little one was hot.
Jesus.
Michelle? Yeah, the baby.
She's an infant in episode 1.
Christ. Okay, answer my.
Now we know
question.
what the harem genre is.
So
what
are your opinions on it? Thoughts? Any ideas?
Well, I wanted to know what you meant by. Well, you mentioned it was polarizing. I didn't really understand how it could be polarizing off episode 1.
Well, it's more so the entire show. It goes in an interesting way, but kind of why I was debating whether I wanted to just make you watch all of it, but that's not really the structure of the show. But it's just the harem genre is a very, very, very common genre nowadays because it's gotten super popular. It's easy to just kind of bait. Yeah, it's easily consumed and easy to bait otaku and weeaboos. Be like, hey, here's this sort of plain motherfucker who's like vaguely interested into anime or video games. He's like you, totally. And there's all these beautiful women around him, which there are not all beautiful women around you in real life, so watch this show.
Well, that makes sense.
Well, why is that polarizing?
That in itself is not polarizing. Oh,
I don't think he expected to be called out on his choice of words. Like, yeah, I think he just said polarizing.
He answered it.
No, he meant it. It's just that it's later
goes
in
on
the
to
show.
be polarizing. Well, I mean,
so I guess we're go on.
I liked it. I was a little bored trying to figure out where exactly it was going because there was zero conflict in the episode until like the last 30 seconds. It was just, he likes this girl. Oh, look at that. She likes him back. Oh, look at that, everything's going great. And then suddenly
I saw
this
conflict
other girl's
throughout. I felt that the conflict, it was so relatable that you might not have even like perceived it as like, conflict in the traditional sense. It's basically what we've all had the exact same experience where like you have a crush, it's way overplayed in your head. Turns out everything's fine. They're kids in what, high school, and it basically was just a story that's been told 1,000 times by people you probably know that played out in their lives, except at the very end where the girl who helped him get the main character, the girl who helped the main character get the girl that he liked, turns out that she was interested in him the whole time, which is really just interesting because of how much effort she put into putting the two of them together.
Do you think that maybe she expected that the other girl didn't like him, and she was doing that as a way to like prove that she was like, I don't know, like her intentions were to go far out for this guy and like try to prove that she'd do anything for him, and didn't expect it to backfire on her or something, because you can see at the end of the episode that she's like visibly distraught, really upset at the fact that the two of them are actually dating now.
Well, that is the question. It's her intentions. That's definitely the question to take away from the first episode, because at first I was thinking, well she was probably manipulating him the whole time, right? Like, and then she's just kind of into this whole
Yeah.
trying to get with the guy who's with a girlfriend, and that it was even more intimate for her because she put the two of them together. But I think maybe like the very last shot of the episode where it showed her like shaking, like she was nervous to even do that the whole time. It's not like she's some sociopath. But
Yeah.
it gave me the idea that okay, so this probably just happened without her thinking.
She really is just naive. I was on the same page. I thought that she was like,
Yeah.
I thought the entire time thinking we're gonna see at the end of this episode that this girl is sinister and like has some like really sinister intentions, and she's just manipulating him. And then that like she comes across as all smiles and happiness and cuteness and everything, but she's actually got this deep-seated plan. And I actually was like interested in seeing that, but I was like, I'm calling it right now. And then it turns out she's just a nervous high school girl that maybe just was too naive to see that her plan was going to backfire. Or maybe she's into the whole three-way thing. I don't know what her...
It could still go either way, but that last shot, like that last thing she does in the final seconds of the episode, it just gives you doubt. Because it did seem like it was leading in the one direction the whole time, exactly the way you described. And then it's like, oh, shit.
Maybe that moment is going to be the moment that, like, we saw her at the end of the episode upset on the train. Maybe now her personality will change and she'll start being manipulative to win him back.
I was expecting.
Otherwise, there won't really be much conflict, If the entire show is just her being upset that those two are dating and those two having like a wonderful life, like what kind of show do you have there?
There's also that other girl who likes him, the girl with the I believe green hair in the class, the one like
with the really like the red eyes.
Yes, I believe.
She'll probably
the one to the bottom,
stoic.
like right of their class.
I'll see her character probably as something that just like throws a wrench in things every once in a while. I don't see her being like a main character, but
Maybe
too early to tell.
Her personality is really different from everyone else for a reason. Like she's kind of stoic. She looks detached.
But I don't know. I thought that like the episode was just slow, and the conflict that it built didn't really do much for me. It just seemed like I feel like if you're in high school or if you're in middle school and you're in that relatable time in your life and you watch this show, maybe it'd be something you'd be interested in. But as an adult that's been through multiple relationships and just doesn't really relate with that high school crush thing anymore, just doesn't do much for me. That conflict isn't really interesting to me anymore. It just seems like a really slow burning kind of like young love interest kind of show, and I just found myself kind of bored with it for the most part.
Yeah, like I don't watch Degrassi anymore for the same reason. Like you kind of grow out of that stuff.
Also, you were just really disappointed once Drake was no longer on it.
Yeah, well,
he was destined for bigger and better things, even though he got shot in the back by Rick.
She says she want the old Drake. Girl, don't tempt me.
Well, I mean, obviously back then he wasn't Drake anyway. He was
Yeah, he was
Aubrey
Jimmy.
Graham.
No, he's
Or
Jimmy.
slash Jimmy. Sure.
This is real. Aubrey Graham. Was that his real
That
name?
was his
Aubrey
like.
Graham's his
that
actual
might-
name.
Yeah, that might actually be his actual
His
name, or it
character's
might
name
be
is
like his
Jimmy
stage
Brooks.
name. You know how sometimes people just have a fake.
No,
like,
Drake
name.
is his stage name, obviously.
Welcome back to the Next Generation podcast. This is a podcast about Degrassi, the Next Generation.
Yeah, let's take a look at what Paige is up to.
Taking the wheel back here and steering us back on course.
All right.
Billy, you kind of mentioned that you felt bored, and that's kind of the way I felt for the entirety of the episode up until like that last moment where the sort of goofy, sort of fun-loving girl leans in and kisses Mr. Boring-ass protagonist. I was like, oh, hey, that's more than most anime do. Any romance anime. They take fucking forever to actually get anything going in that regard. And then people will seem unrealistically uncomfortable around each other. And, like, I've talked about this in, like, my Scum's Wish video, and one of the things I liked about that show initially is that it just dives right into the fact that they're horny teens and they're gonna fuck. Like, that's... I hate when...
Yeah, other anime takes like a fucking peck on the cheek would be like a season 5 finale.
Yeah.
That everybody's like, oh my god, they are in love.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, the first episode you see that teenagers aren't afraid to kiss each other and go on dates and be sexually interested in each other. So yeah, they take a more realistic approach.
Yeah, I did appreciate the pace of it. They really did get to the point.
I think it'll be an interesting and realistic drama about like maybe more realistically what a love triangle in high school could be like and feel like. I think that if you're interested in that sort of thing, it seems like they're on the right track for that to be interesting and for that to be realistic and relatable. But like, I still go back to my first point where it's like I've been there. I've had crushes on multiple girls. I've been through the whole high school crush and dating thing, and it's just like that sort of thing doesn't draw me into the show.
Yeah, I'm exactly with Billy, where I feel like unless things just get crazy and like they go in a really like unpredictable direction, we're just not the target audience. You know, we're a group of 25-year-old guys. It's like, well, are we even who this anime is for? Because that's kind of the question that I was left with by the end.
It would be for me if they were drafted into like a Shinobi Academy and they were supposed to like graduate. But yeah, honestly, I'm probably not gonna. Like, I'd watch Food Wars. I'd get to Food Wars as my first priority.
Hey, don't go skipping ahead here. That's saved for the end of the fucking podcast.
I can make another point. If they wanted us to be interested in this show and like really hook us in the first episode, like I don't think it was a very strong pilot. They should have done more to make this guy seem more interesting.
That's not
because as it stands, it's like, what the fuck do all these girls even want in this guy? Like, first of all, is he good looking? Because he just looks like every other anime guy. And second of all, it's like, does he have any kind of talents? Is he like, is he super smart? Is he like the hot guy in school? Like, I don't even know what the fuck this guy like has in him that like all these girls are just like, oh my god, he talked.
Right. Apparently, he's a ladies' man without even knowing it.
He's just like an awkward like high school kid, and like all of a sudden he's just like this suave. Like he doesn't come across as like some suave guy or anything. Maybe that's why they like him.
Staring all the time.
They like him because he's
like
a
his friend,
deep thinker.
I liked how his friend was like, "Yeah, you gonna go get some on the roof?"
Yeah.
He's like, "How am I the only one not getting any?" It's like, what's going through your mind?
His friend called him, was like,
"What's happening?"
His friend's like, "You getting head right now, dude?" It's like, if I was, I wouldn't have answered the phone.
He's like, "Yo, did you hook up? Are you hooking up right now? Can you tell me how it is?" "Oh, don't tell me." And he just hangs up on him.
Like, what did he expect? Like, yeah, dude, you want to say hi here? Like,
there weren't a whole lot of likable characters in general. It's really just the one girl that was helping out the whole time. Everyone else was dull.
Yeah, you bring
that
up
one girl.
Well, yeah,
like,
in the very end,
you,
it re-shows that shot in the beginning where everyone's just silhouettes, but it goes ahead and it actually shows like, I assume, are the actual
the other
characters
main
in the
cast.
show that time. Yeah, which was, I mean, a little weird. I'd rather just kind of be introduced to them and have it be made clear to me that I'm supposed to care about these characters through the story.
Yeah, it wasn't a subtle.
Like, by the way, here at the very end of the first episode, like, by the way, here are the people you're supposed to care about.
You brought up a good point, Billy. Or, well, you said something that is just said all the time about harem anime, and that the main character, like, what do the girls like about him? Because you look at him, he's just like an average-looking anime boy. He doesn't have any like great talents. He's a boring, plain-ass motherfucker, like I said earlier. And that is the case for so many harem anime because they want the viewer to put themselves into him. They might have like one little distinct feature here and there. It doesn't seem like in this first episode they don't really have that, I feel like, but maybe it's something that's been happening more lately where we'll see this same setup, but like I said, it'll be like an otaku or like a hikikomori or into video games or anime. So that like, oh, you see, he's just like you, he's a nerd, and yeah, it's wholly disinteresting.
yeah, I just mean like at least show us something that like at least makes it believable that all these girls are into this guy, because I don't know, just typical awkward high school anime guy.
Yeah,
I understood why girls liked, Yagami Light in Death Note, even though that wasn't a harem at all, obviously. But like, you could understand why girls liked him in that show.
He was a good-looking, smart dude.
Yeah. But at the same time, anime likes to do this thing where like the dark and like quiet character is like the mysterious and hot one, kind of like Sasuke and Naruto. Not to always reference Naruto, but it is the one that we know most about. But like,
well, no, you're right.
They do like that whole like quiet and mysterious kind of guy, and I could see the main character. What's the main character in this show's name against like Otaku or something? Like that,
Makoto.
Makoto. Well, I can see people thinking that he's just like this quiet, cute guy who gets caught drifting off and staring and stuff, and maybe that's the draw. and maybe people that are more into anime like can understand that. I don't,
Yeah, they
That just goes
referenced
back
that
to
he
what
was
Miller was
serious.
saying.
He has like a reputation for being serious, but that's kind of all he has going for him. Like, there's nothing else that kind of pops out.
No, yeah, I'm saying that's what Miller was saying, in that that is just every boring white guy that we know. You know, like they think they're dark and mysterious just because they don't talk a lot in school. Like
Yeah, sometimes they just don't have things to say.
Exactly, and that's usually the case. That's the thing.
Well,
not most people are
No,
interesting. Most people
no,
are uninteresting.
I didn't talk in
well,
high
from a
school.
female's perspective, if you're quiet and really attractive, then you're mysterious. If you're quiet and not attractive to them, then you're a weirdo.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, but I'm
good
just
point.
saying that's exactly what the audience that Miller pointed out. You know, the guys who are who at least perceive themselves like that. That's the way they act in school. You know, they're just kind of like they mind their own business, and they're not really thinking too hard about anything. But at the same time, they're always just living their lives in their heads because the world just plain bores them. And it's like, all right, maybe in high school you're in this mentality where you think that that's cool. Where you think that that way of living life is particularly interesting, but the thing is, it's not. You know, that's just what most people feel like. Like you're in school and you're just kind of staring off, and you're not having as profound a thought as you think you're having. We grow up and we realize this, that if you want girls to like you, you need to give them a goddamn reason to like you. You can't just think that being a quote nice guy is going to be enough. Like, it seems like this is. I think those are the exact, like that group of people, that group of guys in particular, are the target audience for this entire genre, as Miller has described it.
this show would really appeal to Elliot Rogers, is what you're saying.
Yeah, the guy who thinks he's entitled
alpha
to
male.
women just for existing. Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, he was always pissed off because the girls went for the jocks, and like, what was he doing? What was he doing to get their attention?
Well, he was
Nothing.
sitting in
Just
class
sitting
being
there.
quiet.
Right.
Right.
Isn't it?
Like, why aren't they just gravitating towards me? I'm super interesting. They should just know that.
Like this reminds me of this
People who think
guy.
they're charismatic.
There's this guy at my work that like changes his haircut like every fucking 3 days, and it's like he doesn't talk to anybody. I feel like he's just waiting for like the one haircut that like girls are just gonna start sucking him off on the streets. Like that's the only thing I can think of. He just like changes his haircut like every other day and just comes in and like tries to look at people. He's just waiting for the one haircut. Like his barber's just changing shit up. He's waiting for the one day that girls are just gonna come up to him and start giving him his number. And he's like, I finally found the haircut. Like I finally found the one that makes me a hot guy.
Exactly. And they don't realize that if you want girls to be interested in you, be interesting. Like, it's that
Yeah,
simple.
like just kind of put yourself in the light.
Or pretend to be interesting. I mean, like even like
Yeah.
people that are
Especially
more social get more girls at that age
Yeah.
anyway. Just for being social and talking to people.
Yeah, especially in high school. If you ask a girl to go hang out or do whatever, she's gonna say yes. What else is she gonna do?
Especially if it's on a boat.
True,
then-
okay,
and
yeah,
then-
cats.
And then once you get her out there, you got no problems because of the implication.
She could say no,
Oh,
but she
God.
wouldn't dare.
See, that would be good advice if that entire show didn't build up the fact that it just played into the fans' theory that Dennis is a serial killer.
I love that show.
Talking about Always Sunny, just in case the viewer does not know.
Yeah. We
Yeah, I
should do
was
a whole
against
episode
that
just
show
on
for a
Always
long
Sunny.
time.
Oh, it's-
And I started to watch it, and I realized how wrong I was, and I watched 10 seasons.
Yeah,
in like
that's wonderful.
2
Yeah.
days.
Okay, but steering us back again,
Thank you.
one of like just attributing even more to, or contributing even more to, just how boring the show is the character designs. I get they're going for something more realistic, and I get that. My thought here is that because they're adapting from a visual novel where you can sit on a single character like screen, because they're like, when you're playing a visual novel and you're talking to a character, it'll just be a background and then like the character model sitting there, and you can look at it for as long as you like and take in all the details. But with an anime, things are moving about quickly, so all these characters that are semi-realistic in terms of like, they have very plain sort of school uniforms. They're not flashy in the least bit. They're just like all black. and then the actual like designs of their eye color and their hair color tends to be a bit more realistic. It's all dark colored. It's all generally like a black, like Japanese people tend to have. And in anime, I just, not that I like couldn't grasp who was who, but it just wasn't interesting to look at all.
The girl that he has a crush on is she has purple hair, doesn't she?
Not really.
No.
No.
It's like pretty dark.
They're all black haired.
And she can't cook either. I don't know what he sees in this girl. She couldn't make a goddamn sandwich.
Like it's a purplish hue, but it's still pretty much black.
Well, I see what you're saying about the character design. You think maybe being boring. I wasn't really thinking that so much, and there were definitely a couple of fan service shots
that are terrible.
That were they weren't so subtly.
Yeah.
You know, it was one of the first shots in the episode actually, where she's just bouncing.
And
into the
and this like that brief panty shot, and like that is just is whatever.
Yeah, they kind of threw that in there willy-nilly, didn't they?
Right at the end.
I was kind of just like, huh.
Not to mention on the roof when he has her up against the gate, and it just gives you like just a really long shot of her skirt while they're talking. You don't even see their faces, or they're just talking and just like, hey.
Yeah, they get like a zoom in. I forget the weeaboo term for it, but like there's a term for the area of the leg in between, like where the high sock stops and the skirt starts.
The thigh.
No, there's a but
the middle of the shin to the middle.
I forget
of
the term for it, but yeah, like they have a lot of shots like that, and there's like one when they're playing
No Man's Land.
Yeah, no, there's another.
No, that's a common man's land. It's above that. That's no
Shut
man's
up.
land.
Shut up, you. Anyway,
all right.
There's getting back to my point here. There's a lot of like random ass shots like that. I could get why the first shot at least would be appealing. The rest of them, it's just like when they're like, there's a shot of like, I think they're about to like do some sort of athletic event, because it's so boring I don't even remember what they were doing. They maybe were playing volleyball or basketball. I don't fucking know.
Oh, they were running.
They're running. Okay, yeah, that's sure.
I know what you're
and
talking
it's like
about.
at first it's like, what is this shot of? And then like it took me like a good 2 seconds to be like, oh, that's a shot of her like ass, but it's so weirdly drawn that it's like, how is this appealing to anybody? This is so like, the art here is awful.
All right, yeah, that one kind of passed me by. I mean, I noticed that that's what it was immediately. But
I don't even
didn't
remember what
consider
you're
that
talking
one of the
about.
fan service shots. If
It's
you
just
would
so
ask me, I would've just
it's so
forgotten about
boring
that.
looking. There's like, it's just like, here's like kind of a way too close up. There's no art style to it. There's no like pizzazz of it to be like, at least with like Ero Manga Sensei, I get why people would think, oh, this is attractive, but like with this is like, it just looks really fucking bad.
Well, it was shorts. It was all shorts, no leg, and the
Yeah,
shorts weren't
no,
like,
it
tight
didn't-
enough to like
no,
outline
yeah.
anything. So it was literally just like a like a mess
Yeah.
of shorts that took up the entire screen. You're like, all right, well, I don't know what who this is for.
People who really love shorts.
The only person in that entire episode with any personality was the girl helping out. I didn't like the girl he had a crush on. I thought she was dumb.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Sion-ji.
I missed that.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
like
she's
that a lot.
really the only one that does have personality, which when I was watching it, like, I had to look up like when this show came out and like when the visual novel was done in comparison to another show that came out roughly around this time called the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, which was like an immensely popular show, and you can kind of...
How'd you fuck up on the English word and then just sail right through that complicated Japanese word?
It's I don't know.
The more he drinks, the more Japanese he becomes. It's part of his personality. I once saw him pull out a katana after a six-pack of Grimace.
Yeah.
But anyway, like I was saying, the show, The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, has a very similar character to this Sion-ji character, and she's like a very outspoken, sort of not typical girly girl character, and will get up in your face about things, and maybe things that you were a little uncomfortable with, and a little arrogant as well. Like Sion-ji like makes Makoto, boring ass motherfucker, start calling her Sekai, and Sekai meaning world, and it's just like, you arrogant little cunt.
She's like, yeah, I like it.
And
Yeah, she was fun to watch. When she wasn't on screen, I couldn't care less.
Yeah, she's the only one that has personality.
The girl that the kid has a crush on is like, she can't cook. She skips gym class because she's lazy. And that kid, there was obviously a seat open on the train, and he just let her have it. Like, he probably wasn't even gonna make it.
Yeah.
And he said, like, I'll just stand here and stare at her through the train. Like, it was just weird. Everyone else has weird, boring personalities.
Well, you see, what she fits is the demure sort of character, the homebody sort of wifely character that you could come home to, and she'll cook you a nice meal. Although obviously she can't cook, but that's
like what they turned Hinata into.
Exactly. She's that stock sort of character in a harem who's supposed to be the ideal sort of girl, especially by. It feels. I mean, my limited knowledge of Japan and its culture, but it feels like that is more appealing. Like the girl who fits more traditional roles is more appealing to a Japanese male than, say, it would be here, where I'm speaking for myself.
Sure.
Like, I'm not. That's not like a girl like that's not what I'd be into.
I was
boring isn't
surprised
appealing.
that Katsura turned out to be boring. I kind of expect her to have to be like why was he so
worth it.
intimidated by her, you know? But at least she has a goddamn hobby. At least she reads books. At least guys have a reason to like her.
I mean,
the main character is so boring and has nothing appealing to him other than the fact that he's not ugly, that I just don't get this genre.
And that's an unfortunate issue with a lot of harem, and it's somewhat like romance in general. Romance has gotten super popular since about, again, going back to Haruhi. Haruhi ended up making what we call moe, like super fucking big. Moe being the very cutesy big eye, like more accentuated big eyes, and it's like all the otaku shit that's super popular now.
From Steins Gate.
Yeah, that made it a whole lot more popular in anime, for better and for worse. And harems and romances, they've also gotten more popular, I feel like. But there are good ones. Like, there's shows that I have enjoyed, like there's an old 90s show by Studio Gainax is like super popular. They made things like Evangelion, and Hideaki Anno is their fucking genius fucking leader and was there for a long time. And they made a show called Karakano, and Karakano gets right to the point, and it's a really good romance show. And if you're ever interested in viewer and you haven't seen Karakano, watch that. Or there's more modern things like Toradora, and Toradora has sort of not a full out harem vibe, but like the main dude likes this other girl, and then the girl he gets to help him fall in love with the girl that he likes, he ends up falling for that girl, and then like the two friends, sort of like how this show has him trying to help, like Sayonji's trying to help him fall, like get I don't remember the crush's name because she's also,
I don't remember her name either. She's a very forgettable person.
Sayonji is trying to get her to fall in love with Makoto. Like, it has that similar, like Toradora has a similar setup there. It just does it so much better. Like, there's nothing appealing about any of this until like the last minute.
Even Your Lie in April, it's not in the harem genre, but there's definitely a bit of a triangle thing there. Like, they just handled it perfectly. It kind of sneaks up on you. You can kind of see it coming, but the characters are interesting. It all makes sense. Their motivations make sense, and it's just it's a heartfelt story. This is just why do I even care about any of these kids?
Well, it all just goes back to the original points we made about it is it's just targeting the audience that probably isn't us anymore. I mean, think back to like your first high school or middle school crush. I mean, why did you like that person? It probably wasn't because they had all these awesome interests that you also were interested in, and like they had this awesome personality and stuff. It was probably just because you thought they were cute and you were jealous of other guys that they liked, and that's just like how crushes start, and that's the audience that they're targeting. I mean, there isn't really a rhyme or reason to it. It's just like that she's the cute girl that you don't know much about and is kind of mysterious, and she's on your train, and you like her. And that's just kind of like what they're going for, I think.
What
We all
made
went to the same elementary school, and I think there was only really one girl.
That's because there was literally only one girl that went to your
other than-
school
there was-
back then, because you had a population of
No,
6
there-
in that
there-
town.
There were 2 attractive girls.
So there-
There was
One of them
two.
There was
Oh,
also
really
2
sad.
girls. Sorry,
Come on.
my bad.
I dated
I'd-
both of them.
Yeah, I'd
There
like to
were
say
more
that
than
I
two.
dated one of them, and I was swinging on a swing, and then
you
she
just
wanted
say it
to
was
meet
the
me.
other one because it was your
There were
aunt and then
3.
the other
No, there
one.
were 3.
Well, I was
There were
dating
3.
I was dating Rose, and
Rose.
I was swinging on the swing, and she wanted to meet me behind the fence, and I literally broke up with her because I wanted to stay on the swing. So I was a little player back then. I was a little badass.
Yeah, see what? Back then, the most attractive thing about a girl was that she liked you, and nothing else really mattered.
I didn't have an interest in girls. I had an interest in playing
Swings.
Yu-Gi-Oh at recess.
Yeah, I specifically remember.
Yeah, I'm trying to get that.
I
3 out.
specifically remember, I think like 1 or 2 girls like having their friends come up to me in like grade school saying, "Oh, so and so thinks you're cute," and me being like, "Whatever, don't care, not interested."
I can say
Yeah.
you probably have the same voice. You probably already hit puberty. Yeah, whatever. Get out of here.
Miller just goes whatever, and he runs away with his arms behind his back.
To bring it back to the point of this podcast again, I think that mentality is what this target audience still has.
Yeah, well, we
I
were
think
in
it's
6th
that
grade.
whatever. I mean, like, you have crushes and stuff, but it's like the concept of adult relationships are they're lost on you, or you think it's just 100% sex, or you think it's like I don't know, people who get in relationships because they think it'd be fun to be in a relationship and stuff like that. It just seems immature to me, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Too. Yeah, like I remember when this stuff was the most important things in the world, like in the same age we were just talking about. But now, 25, it's just it doesn't grab us the way it used to, and it couldn't possibly. We're not so closeted. We're all very social people now. We kind of grew out of that awkward phase, or at least I like to think so. So this kind of genre just doesn't grab us like it could have maybe 10
Speak
years
for
ago.
yourself.
Well, I don't know. I'm definitely
Yeah, I was gonna say.
no.
Yeah.
You go out, Miller, and stuff. I'm like we're all still pretty introverted. I'm not saying that like our general personalities change. It's just that we don't relate with that like loner kind of like quiet mindset that doesn't like to ever talk to anybody and doesn't have any friends. We all have friends.
Billy lives with me. We go days without talking sometimes.
Well, we're on opposite schedules now, but
Well, yeah, we don't make a point to.
I mean,
It's
that
just
just
that's
sounds
how
like
it
good
turns
for
out,
Billy.
like- Alright, well,
Yeah,
Paul's
but,
annoying ass
and
fucking
more-
dog is still around, so
Yeah, well, both your dogs suck. But going more in line with the podcast,
I can't believe you just
like
said
if we
Stick that
if we want to talk to a girl, we'll just talk to her. It's no big deal.
Right.
You kind of you'll always have a little bit of nerves, but you just kind of stop caring so much. Like it'll go how
Drinking
it goes.
helps.
That's why I just drink.
Yeah,
I drink
drinking
heavily
helps.
and then just do stupid shit.
Yeah, we could turn this. We could turn this
waste all your
podcast
Tinder
into
swipes.
relationship advice for young men that maybe are interested in this show. Just
Don't-
talk to her, man. Just talk to her. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. If I reach one person and they actually go up and talk to a girl, email me and I'll send you $20 Applebee's gift card because this podcast is sponsored by Applebee's.
Yeah, you and me, 2 for 20.
That's true. I mean,
No,
I
but
remember
seriously.
sophomore year, I won't say her name, but I mean, Billy here fell in love with a girl without dating her, and he told her, he kept going for it. His primary attraction was that he was persistent, and eventually it worked out, and they dated for
Well, I was in the
years.
friend zone for like 2.5 years.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
that
that's
was
what I
fun.
said.
But I finally built up the nerve, and we ended up dating and having a relationship that ultimately crashed and burned like a fiery inferno at the end. But you know what?
But it was
life is life. you gotta live it, man. You gotta live it.
The best part about that whole relationship was that she always thought I was funnier than you, which I'm gonna carry that with me forever.
Oh yeah, I know. Well, she's no, I'm just kidding. I have nothing but
Anywho.
respect for that girl.
Terrible
Anyway,
sense of humor, but go on.
I don't-
to get back to the whole demographic thing, I
Oh,
see that's a little area where I kind of disagree because I firmly believe that demographics are more so a suggestion, and I could totally get into something that is just like this show if just the characters were better, if the setup was better. I'm fine with high school drama. Just make it interesting. There is no cliche that is too cliche. This is something I often write about. But there's nothing interesting here. And until that final moment, I was watching the show like, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to talk about here. I don't know how I'm going to just make this podcast last very long without us rambling, which we've done plenty of, but...
Fair part.
I think the people love the rambling. We have a lot of fans now.
Yeah, almost 3.
Almost 3.
Hey,
I'm working on
there
the
was some random-ass person after I posted into the Shokugeki no Soma-kun Reddit that said, hey, I already listened to your podcast, and that made me feel not terrible about myself. I
loved it.
I had the razor on the wrist, and I was like, I'll just pull back.
Oh my god. Jesus.
Oh my god.
Wait.
He already made our tapes.
You have the razor.
I was gonna make a 13 Reasons Why reference, but Shawn beat me too.
So your phone was in the wrist you're about to cut, and you were just
I
scanning
have a
Reddit?
computer. I look on Reddit on the computer like a real weeaboo. Thank you.
That's alright. I guess I pictured you in the bathtub, but I didn't realize you were still
No,
in front of your desk.
Yeah, he was scrolling through
Ah,
Reddit at the
man.
time because he had an AMA up, but no one was asking him any questions because nobody cared.
Suicide isn't funny.
unbelievable.
Suicide isn't funny, guys. Come on.
Okay, but I do know what you mean with no cliche is too cliche, because they really can do it right. There's obviously a way to do it right. But to go back to one of Ryan's points, it would help a lot if they had something else to do. If the only thing in the show wasn't, I'm interested in this person. Maybe they could also be like working on some kind of project, or going to work, or like do something else other than be in school and whine about this girl.
I mean, benefit of the doubt. I mean, just like to play devil's advocate on your point, is that they might come up with some kind of plot. It may evolve into a really interesting show. It's just that the initial pilot just didn't hook me.
Yeah, it's a standard
And that's the
harem
point.
setup, which brings me to my final question for you all. Well, my second to final question, I guess. Billy, would you keep watching School Days?
No. I mean, if somebody came to me and was like, hey man, I'm on episode 6 of School Days, it actually gets really, really good, you have to watch it, then maybe I'd go back and see what they were talking about, but as it stands from just watching the first episode, initial impressions and all that, I don't think so.
Okay,
No.
fair enough. Ryan, would you keep watching School Days?
No, I thought it was boring.
Oh,
I mean, there were some aspects of it that I thought might turn into something, but I don't think it's something worth getting to the other side of as a viewer. So, it was fine. It wasn't terrible, but there was, I think Billy said this earlier, there was no hook. For a first episode, and we have to base this on the first episode, just there's no reason to keep, digging, because it seems to me like it's just a part of life that I'm way past, and it just doesn't interest me
Okay.
anymore.
fair enough as well. Shawn, would you keep watching School Days?
Oh, School Days. Yeah, there was a lot of suspense there. I was wondering what you were going to say. No. They did a really poor job, I thought, in making any of the characters interesting, besides the one we keep bringing up. And I know it's not a very long anime, but I just don't have the time to make for it. I don't want to. I'd rather watch Food Wars or rewatch like Steins Gate or something I know I'm gonna love than give this more of my time. I really find it hard to believe that this story would take such a turn that it would change my entire perspective on it.
Yeah. So for me now, I had very little interest in the show until like the final minute, like I said. But would I keep watching? Yes, because I have the whole thing of I like to critique things and be a part of the discussion of any medium that I'm talking about, like anime, video games, comics, or whatnot, music. So I'm gonna keep watching, but not because I like the show, just because I feel obligated to, because it is like kind of a very talked about work. And
Or just more about
yeah,
experience.
and I should preface all this with I know where it's going. I know how it ends and everything. And the ending is fucking weird in comparison to a lot of harem shows. Would the three of you care if I spoil it?
I guess not, but you're gonna have to give a
Well,
warning
yeah.
to all of our
No,
thousands and thousands of fans.
I don't
Most
know.
people know about it by now. Like I said, it's a 2007 anime, and the only reason it got talked about is because of the ending, really.
So yeah, just say let's just say spoiler alert really, really loud, and anybody who doesn't want it spoiled, turn the podcast off right now. And if you end up in the comments being upset that it was spoiled, you're an asshole because we gave you huge warning.
Agree. Yep. Yeah, sponsored by
Applebee's.
Applebee's, of course. But yes. So, as you might expect in a harem, multiple girls show interest of him. And as you might expect, after this, the Saionji character kisses him at the very end, after setting him up with the other girl who, Ryan, you've already mentioned her name, but I've forgotten it again. I don't really care for you to remind me, so don't. So, yeah.
Anime
So
girl.
even more characters come along, fall in love with this boring ass shitbag, and he ends up pretty much hooking up and fucking all of them. And the last episode, one of them just freaks out and stabs him, and he dies.
What the fuck? Are you
Which one
serious?
stabs
it-
him? Just one of the
I'm
ones we
not
haven't met
sure.
yet?
I think it's the boring ass one from this episode, because I think that's the one he's like, "I'm dating you" the entire time while he's gone around banging other girls.
Oh my
That's
god.
really the only reason I want to keep
So
watching
it-
it, just because I want to like see that, because that's not something that's common in anime, and it's
I
He's
might
actually
just
having
skip
sex
to the
with
last
these high school
episode and
girls?
just like watch it with my pants around my ankles.
Wait, so I don't understand. So, how much of this stuff is animated in the episode? Like, what are they trying
I mean,
to?
I don't know.
Do they just allude to them having sex, or do they just kind of make
I mean,
out or whatever?
they'll show them. If it's anything like other shows that I've seen, like they'll show them like hands down pants and shit, and like articles of clothing being removed, and then it's implied what else happens. They're not going to show insertion or anything.
Is that why it's not on PlayStation? I can only watch
I
it
don't
on
know,
Crunchyroll
actually.
on the computer
Yeah, Crunchyroll.
because that was super annoying.
No idea. Can't answer that. But yeah, that's what happens. He gets murdered by one of the girls. Yeah, that's
That's pretty funny. I kind of do want to see
all
that.
right then.
No, that just.
I'm not gonna watch the whole thing, but
That
I
doesn't
like
tell me
like
it's a
Billy.
good
I
No,
might
yeah, it
jump
doesn't
to
tell
the
you
end.
it's good. It just tells, like, all it tells me is that it's different, and then it's like a talked about anime. So I'm gonna watch it for that. But otherwise, I don't really give a shit. I know I'm probably gonna be like, oh, it's kind of shitty. The one thing I'll probably end up disagreeing with a lot of people on is that, like, something that people got pissed about with the show is that the main character is so unlikable, and I always hate the fucking argument about unlikable characters, because like I don't need to like these characters. Like when we watched Aku no Hana and that podcast vanished, Kasuga isn't likable. He's a fucking dickhead and he's a creepy ass motherfucker. And most of the characters in Game of Thrones, not likable. They're all fucking murderous pricks.
I think they're likable.
Tyrion's
He is also a douchebag. If you met Tyrion in real life, you're like, fuck, I'm getting away from this fucking lecherous little cunt.
Well, I mean, he's overcompensating because of the whole stature thing, but you know, he is smarter than everyone around him. Do you know why?
Because he drinks and he knows things.
Because yes, that's right. Because the mind needs books like a sword needs a heartstone.
Anyway,
Oh God,
this isn't the Game of
it
Thrones
needs books.
podcast, so we'll...
Or my favorite Game of Thrones quote, Hodor, Hodor.
Alright, so,
Oh wait! Chaos is a ladder.
shut up, Littlefinger. Anyway, getting back to the podcast, now is the time where I plug my shit. So, time for shameless plugging.
Dang.
The previous episode of this podcast, we talked about Food Wars, as we mentioned earlier. So go listen to that. It's a fun little thing that we did. I also recently did a video on House of Cards, proving that this is not just an anime channel, although it is like 80 to 90% anime. And like I said, we lost our Aku no Hana podcast, so I ended up doing a solo thing about the first episode. It's only like 6 minutes long, and I talk about why that first episode is so phenomenally directed. And as far as things to come, I'm working on not a review, because I don't like doing reviews in a standard fashion, but I'm going to do something with a post-mortem on Attack on Titan Season 2. And then last but not least, shut up, Shawn. Last but not least, I'm going to talk about my 5 favorite games of 2017 of the mid-year, which is something I've been doing since I worked at a site called Plus 10 Damage. And if you'd like to follow me on Twitter, it's @wordsmaybe, just like this awful, awful channel that you're listening to for some reason. And I don't know that any of these fuckers would like to plug themselves, but plug away if you care.
Well, I think I have lots of interesting things to say, and they're on Twitter all the time at @RyanSays. It's CEZZ92, and you will not be disappointed, or you will. I don't.
He talks
care.
about politics. He's a filthy liberal.
I do.
I got nothing.
I did register to vote just to vote for Bernie, but go on.
Sean, you don't want to follow him.
Well, I just don't have I don't have this urge to vomit words all the time. I normally leave that up to people who could just speak my
Like
salient
me.
points better than I can. I'll just retweet them. Yeah, like you.
Which you don't do.
Yeah, just follow this guy's YouTube channel and his Twitter. He has some good content on there. So I'll just plug for you again, since I don't have anything to plug myself.
So, now is the time for the final question of the podcast. What are we going to watch next time? So, for the month of July, if you're not aware, which you three probably aren't, it starts the summer season of anime. So, for the next 2 episodes, we're going to be talking about a new summer anime. So, it will be easier views for me. That's entirely why I'm doing it, because it's just more SEO, search engine optimization friendly.
I mean, it'll all be new to us anyway, so.
Yeah, that sounds better.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I haven't seen these shows either, so we'll be diving into that fun stuff. So, the 2 shows are... Oh, Christ. I don't want to have to pronounce all this Japanese while I'm drunk. The thing is, both of these shows start off with a single English word, and then just a mouthful of Japanese. A bukkake of Japanese, if you will.
I don't want to, but I will.
So, goddamn, Vatican.
It's like chicken Alfredo for your face.
So the options are Vatican Kisakai Chosukan or Skirt no Naka wa Kedamono Deshita. So, based off title alone.
So Vatican
based
or
off
skirt.
title alone. Billy, what do you choose?
I don't know what either of those Japanese surnames or or epilogues to the English prefix is, but I'll go with that, the one that starts with Vatican, because it seems like it might have a more interesting plot. It might be kind of interesting. It might be something to do with the Vatican or religion or some kind of secret society or something. I feel like the skirt one will probably just be more of upskirt shots in a high school setting. So I don't know.
Yeah, more
Okay, so 1 for Vatican. Ryan, Vatican blah 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 blah, or skirt blah 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 blah. That's not racist.
Definitely.
It's a little racist. It's racially
the former. I will
Okay,
say,
so
the Vatican, because
Yeah, typical fucking Ryan.
bashing.
So Shawn, I'll just ask you anyway. Not that your opinion matters at this point.
Oh, because you want to do Vatican now too. Then I'll just say skirt so I can be the odd guy out.
Alright, so we're gonna watch Vatican Kisakai Chosukan and we won't be watching Skirt no Nakawa Kedamono Deshita. I'm actually
All right. Don't forget to text me
yeah, that was part of the
search for it.
That was part
Ba-ba-da,
of the
ba-da,
problem when I
ba-da,
was
ba-da.
pulling up names for these things, because Vatican does have an English translation name and Skirt does not. So I didn't want to like have one that's an English name and make you biased to your English nature because you're all filthy racists.
Well, now that
True.
we decided on what to watch next, can we get like? Can you tell us what
No,
it's about?
because that's not the point of this. That's we go into these things blind, Shawn. I don't know if you've been looking things up, despite me saying don't look things up.
No, I haven't. I just mean like a
I will say that
synopsis.
I'm more personally more interested in Vatican than I was Skirt, but they seemed like two at least shows that will be talked about in some capacity. So that's what we'll be doing 2 weeks time from now. Until then, keep watching all of my awful shit. Make sure that one day I will have a Patreon up, so that way you can throw all of your hard-earned money at me for no reason. I mean, I wouldn't deserve it, but it would be appreciated. Until then, and until you're willing to just piss your money away on my awful, awful words. See ya, dicks.